Do you find yourself in a position where you feel that you should be recognized and praised by others because of your achievements, looks, and success? Let's talk about it.
One look and I breathe.
Welcome to Breion's Diary, where we talk about life. We are healing and growing, building our confidence and self-esteem. So, I looked up the definition of pride. Pride is a high or inordinate, and inordinate means large or excessive opinion of one's own dignity, importance, merit, or superiority, whether as cherished in the mind or as displayed in bearing conduct, etc. I looked at the definition of pride because the other day God had me read Judges chapter 8. In Judges chapter 8 is the story of Gideon and his 300 soldiers who, it was basically after they defeated the Midianites, who were under the rule of Zebah and Zalmunna. I hope I pronounced that correctly. But from my understanding, Gideon and his soldiers were only able to defeat the Midianites because Gideon followed God's instruction on how to do so. So I'm going to try my best to summarize this chapter. But anyways, Gideon was basically after the remaining of the Midianites at this point, and they had fled. And while passing through the towns of Succoth and Peniel, they basically asked for food from the people of the town, but they refused to do so out of fear of the Midianites because they had been in bondage by them for so long. And so Gideon vowed basically that he would deal with them once he got back from defeating, capturing the rest of the Midianites. But after capturing Zebah and Zalmunna and defeating the remainder of the Midianites, Gideon returns to the town of Succoth, and basically he beat them with thorns and briars. And briars is actually basically any thorny bush, like such as the stem of a rose. He basically does punishment for not providing them with food when he asked for it. He then goes to Peniel and he tore down their towers and basically killed all the men there. And he basically then kills Zalmunna and Zebah and takes all of their precious belongings, their gold and jewelry, you name it. And then the people of Israel, they asked Gideon to be their king because he saved them. But he refuses to take on the title because he said God is their king. And then he asked for all of their gold from the Midianites, and he creates an ephod with it. And an ephod basically is like a vest plate that's made of fine jewelry of gold and fine jewelry and gold, and it was worn by a high priest. And so, however, he gets to a point where he wanted everyone to bow down to him and basically treat him like he was a king, even though he did not carry the title. When God gives me a chapter to read in the Bible, I actually always end up looking up the definition. Reading the meaning of that chapter. And so I learned that this chapter was basically speaking on pride. And the passage that I looked was saying that it was 7 lessons on pride that was found in this chapter. And they are: 1, pride can lead to jealousy. 2, pride can lead to anger. 3, pride can lead to self-reliance and failure to communicate with God or ask for help. 4, pride can lead to a lack of forgiveness and causes one to seek revenge. 5, pride can lead to covetousness. And covetousness basically is when you want what others have, or you feel the need to possess something that is not yours. And then 6, pride leads to lust of the flesh. And then 7, pride can lead to failure of honoring God in your life. So I'll link the passage down in the description box if you wanted to read it more in depth. Now, getting back into today's video, the reason that I gave the definition of pride in the beginning is because you guys, in building a relationship with God, I stated this before, He always takes us deeper. Pride is more than just being boastful or seeing oneself as greater than what they are. Pride can come in many forms, even if it's not intentional. So, we often have to check ourselves in areas where we could be prideful. Not being honest about your feelings and how we truly feel deep within our heart is pride. If you're hurting or you're angry with someone and you act like everything is okay and you're still talking to that person like nothing's wrong, that is pride. You're boasting like you got so much money in your account and your bank account is looking a little rocky, that is pride. Or you're spending money that you don't need to spend because you have other responsibilities, but you want to hang out. You don't want to say no. That's not fear. That is pride. You know that you need to slow down on your spending, but you have a certain image to upkeep. That is pride. How can God help you or fix you in those areas in your life if you're basically telling him that you're okay? You're basically telling God that you don't need his help in this area. Wanting recognition for achievements or wisdom that God has given is pride. Helping others and wanting credit for it is pride. Helping someone and telling others that you helped them is pride. Helping others and expecting something back in return is pride. Healing in certain areas and judging others for not doing the same is pride. And it's nothing but pride when you say that it was you and not God. So I was guilty of majority of these things, and God had me read the story of Gideon to understand what pride truly is, and so I can check myself in those areas. Also, I had to check myself because, like Gideon, sometimes we may say that we are humble and that we are doing work for God, but our actions can say otherwise. Or we are expecting rewards in return for doing God's work. That is pride. So I also had to look at areas in my life where my actions were contradicting my words. And also, after learning this, I had to come to an understanding of the difference between pride and confidence, because the two can be mistaken. Like, are you confident or are you being prideful? Because no one is better than anybody. Everyone has a certain area in their life. I'm not going to say lack, because we lack nothing, but areas in their life where they could be improved. So instead of thinking that you're better, see why God brought someone else into your life and what areas you could teach them and what areas they can teach you, and build each other up. Don't be too prideful to think that we cannot learn from someone else. It does not matter if you have more than that person. That person may have more in another area. Now, true confidence to me, in my definition, is when you know who you are as a person and you know who you are in God, and you're humble enough to know that you are not perfect, but you love yourself despite your imperfections and your flaws. A person that is truly confident is not afraid to display their flaws because they know that it does not define them, and that they are still loved. God is the only being that is perfect. So if you think that you are perfect, check your pride. So that's all I have today on pride. So I had to check my pride, check yours too. So remember, healing is not linear. It is a journey, and here at Breion's Diary, we are healing together. I will see you next week. Check that pride. Bye. Mwah. Love you guys.